Hello, I'm Steve Sucato, GroundWorks DanceTheater's Marketing Communications Manager. And I'm very pleased to welcome a familiar face to anyone who knows the company. Dancer, now choreographer, Nicole Hennington, as part of GroundWorks' ongoing Artist Talk series. Hello, Nicole.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me.
So you're joining us from Montreal. What are you up to there?
Yeah, I've been here for 3 weeks working with a professional development project called Springboard Dance Montreal. And um, this year, about around 112 dancers all got invited to work with emerging choreographers and professional principal companies who are well established in the dance world. And yeah, it's just been really fun taking class with a lot of people and a lot of old faces and new faces. So it's been really nice.
Okay. Well, for those who don't know Nicole, a little background on you. You're from sunny Scottsdale, Arizona, where
Yep.
you went from playing Broadway choreographer with your dolls as a little kid to taking classes with your sister at age 5 and sort of realizing that you wanted to be a dancer by age 10.
Mhm.
After years of training and dance competitions, Nicole went to the University of Arizona, where she earned a BFA in dance, and she joined GroundWorks. Was it in 2018?
Yes.
Okay, where you have been a dancer, a teacher, and now choreographer. She recently finished her fourth and final season with GroundWorks as a company dancer, and created has created her first main stage work for the company that will premiere as part of GroundWorks Summer Performance Series, July 15th through 17 at Cain Park, Evans Amphitheater, that's in Cleveland Heights, and August 5th and 6th at Akron's Firestone Park as part of the Heinz Summer Dance Festival. So it's kind of sad that you're moving on from GroundWorks to pursue other opportunities. But fortunately, we still have you as a choreographer, which is great. Um, so after executive director David Shimotakahara asked you to make a work on the company, how long did you have to come up with ideas or a basic plan before you got in the studio with the dancers?
Yeah. I think I had about a month and a half, which is honestly perfect for me to have ideas brewing in my head. Because first I obviously needed like, okay, how long does this piece need to be? How like what's the option? The first thing I was worried about was like copyright and everything. So I was like, okay, like let's see what happens. But I mean, I was really fortunate enough to have about like that month and a half to really be thinking about um, music choices, what I wanted to be mostly inspired by, and it was my intention and storyline in this piece, and then music drove that, and then the dancing just came last, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, did you feel any sort of intimidation or trepidation about going from being sort of the fellow dancer to the people you were working with in the studio to now sort of controlling the whole the whole thing and directing them?
Yeah. I mean, this last season, I was fortunate enough to also be a rehearsal assistant alongside David. So I was kind of seeing like the ins and outs. But really, I felt very comfortable being at the front of the room with my friends and my colleagues. They were so supportive and so um, open minded to what my vision was, and they would always keep like asking questions to help further the idea. So it really honestly just felt more like a playground rather than like going to work. I was like, okay, I just get to like choreograph with my friends, and this is great. And it's like even better because like it's going to be on professional stage, and I'm just really grateful for that.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of fun to to have that. So the piece is a trio, and you've titled it As I Am. Give us some insight into what inspired or motivated you to create this work.
Yeah. So the piece was inspired by NPR podcast Modern Love, but specifically the episode Take Me As I Am, However I Am. And I wanted to do a spin off. I wanted to do something, I knew I wanted to do something simple, and I wanted to do a spin off of that title. And I like As I Am because one, there's three words, there's three dancers. And then also, in this piece, I really wanted to play with the audience's emotions and really take them on the journey and really kind of like tug at their heartstrings, make them question different things, make them laugh. Um, and so if you look at the words as I am, if you make it all capitalized, like the A is like a mountain, then it goes down, and then I goes up again, and then am goes up again. So I just really enjoyed kind of like that imagery of having
Mm,
like the peaks and valleys in the word as well.
okay. All right. Tell me about your choreographic process. Do you have a go-to approach, or does it change with each piece?
Um, I find that I usually start well. The I find that the backstory, well, like the behind the scenes is always a little bit different depending on like what I'm going for. Usually, I like spend like weeks searching for music, and I will not use a song unless I'm married to it, unless I just cannot imagine not choreographing to it. And thankfully, I found four songs like that for As I Am. But when I'm in the studio, it usually starts out teaching one or two bass phrases, and then having the dancers, giving them just like a simple writing task, and then make a small solo out of it. So then we're able to use those bass phrases, but also I kept on using the word upcycling in my process. I'm like, okay, let's upcycle this phrase and make it into something a little bit different because it's not recycling because you can absolutely like change like one movement based on like where you're facing it, the dynamic of it. So, yeah, just a lot of upcycling of material.
Okay. So, you mentioned writing tasks. Were there other choreographic tools that you've learned over the years that you incorporated into this process?
Um, One specifically, I'm not sure where I learned this one from, but the first writing task that I had the dancers do was to make a haiku, and I wanted them to choreograph a step for every single word and potentially every single syllable. I'm like, how would you say this word? Is it a harsh movement? Is it aggressive? Is it soft? How like I want to see the um, energies in your words also affect what you're doing with your body. Um, and that was also something I was really interested in when I was choreographing the piece. I wanted just because as human beings we can like change our perspective every second of every day. So I wanted to see that like thought process, but like physicalize it.
Okay. So, did they come up with any kind of fun haikus that either were funny
Um,
or?
yeah, I didn't ask the dancers like to share because the behind the haiku I wanted them to write about something the last time that they were overwhelmed with emotion or over just like overwhelmed in general. And so those haikus are really personal to them. So I didn't ask, but um, I know one gesture specifically was that's actually in the piece quite a bit is holding the dancers holding like a foot up next to their ear, but that actually originated from Tegan licking their foot at first.
Oh, okay. So you
I
you got to see the movement of translation of the haiku, but not the actual haiku.
Yeah, yes.
All right. Well, yeah, that's it. I'm glad. Well, you guys are flexible enough to take your foot off. It's not something I can do anymore.
One day, Steve.
Yeah, yeah. You can come and visit me in the hospital. So, is it difficult not just to fall back on creating movement the way you like to do it, the way you like to move, or are most familiar with? Can you have you found that you can go outside of that in your choreography?
Yeah, I mean, I always like say, I only am as much as I've learned, or I am like whoever I've learned from. So I just wanted to, like, I took my movement and I just approached it with confidence, just give to the dancers. But obviously, with different bodies, the movement's going to change. But it was exciting because stuff that I can't do in my own body, I was able to direct it in a way. And I was like, wait, can you do this? And then the dancers would always look at me just like, okay. And I'm like, no, I think it's going to work. Like, let's just try it. So it was exciting just kind of like do the, do the impossible, but then make it possible.
Oh, okay. All right. Having seen a rehearsal of As I Am, it's made up of several vignettes, for what I saw, and not to give too much away, but one of the vignettes is Tegan costume in a dress. Tell me about how that section came about and its context or place in the work.
Yeah. Um, I wanted, so that is probably the most directly translated from uh, my like initial inspiration, the NPR podcast, because Tegan's wearing a big fur coat, and the main character in the episode is wearing a big fur coat. But also, I wanted the fur coat to be representational about how people can use like clothing to cover themselves up, or how people can use clothing to make themselves feel different or feel better, have some more confidence. Um, and in that section, there is some humor, some dark humor behind it. Yeah, it was just kind of like, again, like a playground behind it. I'm like, what can we do with this? Like, how can we best use this prop without just making it like a prop? Like, let's put a storyline behind it. Let's make it intentional instead of it just being like, I don't know, another costume.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you're using like four different songs, I think.
Hmm.
Um, how do you go about choosing the music for your works and for this
Um,
one?
yeah. So the first one is instrumental, but it has like a kid talking in the beginning. I don't think I'm pretty sure it's in a different language, but uh, it's very playful almost. It's called First Rain, and so a lot of rain sound, really gorgeous piano. That was actually the last soundtrack that I found for this piece. But um, What Happened to Your Heart? I found that song maybe 6 months ago, and I have revisited it time and time again, and I was like, okay, I have to use this. I have to use a song, or else I'm just going to keep on thinking about it, kind of thing. And then same with the last song, I Can See the Change. I remember I heard that song for the first time in the car, and I was listening to it, not really thinking anything about it, and then I was just overcome with emotion, half like in the middle of it, and then again I just kept on coming back to it time and time again. I'm like, okay, now this has to make its way into the piece.
Okay.
So
Yeah, you've got a couple of Brits that make music. One's American Brit. The woman, I forget her name. It's a one word.
Celeste.
Celeste, yes. And then you've got a wide range. You have Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that just another song that's stuck with you, or over the years, or
Yeah. I mean, I just really love that song, and I love dancing to like old music. Um and just words. I love like sometimes I understand using instrumental music, and I think instrumental music is so beautiful, but I mean, I think that there can be imbalance. And for myself, I haven't danced too many words or many songs with words in it. And so that's why I really wanted to bring forward in this piece as well.
Yeah, that song is "Can't Take My Eyes Off of You," which
Yes.
is yeah, that's a catchy tune that I think a lot of people will
Yes.
recognize and love.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you: could you ever make a work that is not set to music or some sort of audio soundtrack,
Um,
or would
I
you ever
don't,
want to?
I definitely would want to. Um, I mean, the only time I ever like really made anything without music was definitely in college when we weren't allowed to use music
Oh,
for
okay.
choreography class, but it was never like for stage for performance. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of like great dance without music, so maybe one day I could dive myself into that world as well.
Yeah, I mean it'd certainly be different to try and choreograph to silence.
Yeah.
So,
But then there's like the freedom of like creating your own like musicality and almost like music score with your dynamics and your body, but I mean, it would just take a lot of imagination.
yeah, okay. All right. So, what are your thoughts as a sort of um, would say you're new to choreography, in the sense of like main stage stuff. Um, what are your thoughts on work that is pretty much created by the dancers that come up with the bulk of the movement, and the choreographer sort of directs and edits the process, as opposed to some choreographer that comes in with the movement and sets it on the dancers.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I think I've been involved with many processes that have done both. Um, I love my biggest thing is that I love a collaborative process. Um, and sometimes it's not always collaborative. Like I've been in processes where the dancers make up all the choreography, and then um, the choreographer just splices it together, and that's great. And then I've also been in processes where it's just the choreographer just choreographs everything onto the dancers, and that's great too. It kind of gives honestly the dancers like a little bit of like a brain break a little bit.
Okay.
Um, well, so to speak, but it's more of like working on like the movement behind it. But then I love the happy medium where it's like, okay, here's my movement style, here are some phrases, mix and match. Like, what do you like from this phrase? Another choreographic task that I actually gave the dancers was, okay, take the two bass phrases and make a third phrase, but you can mix and match the movement. You can do anything you want. Just take it as like an inspiration or a skeleton. Or if you want to do the exact movement, then go ahead. So I just also use that to see what they're most attracted to in my movement, like in the choreography as well. And that was exciting to see. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I guess like, the biggest thing for me is just collaboration is my favorite word that I have always used.
Okay. So yeah, you, as a dancer, you sort of like that middle ground. You found that more fulfilling than one way or the other, where you either you're doing all the work or they're doing all the work. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just like in moderation, balance.
Yeah.
I I love those words, and I think we could also cultivate that in the studio as well.
Okay. So I think when we had talked before, as I am is 15 minutes long, and this may be the longest work you've done.
Yeah.
So, what did you learn from making a longer piece as opposed to, like a short piece for a dance studio or something?
Yeah. Um, I really found joy in creating um, this long of a piece because I was able to really tell a story and really kind of like take the audience on a ride. But I also, um, I love motifs and I love symbolism in any kind of story. I love it when things just click or when you're reminded of something um, that happened at the very beginning of the book, for example, and then it's brought back at the end and it's like, oh, that was important. Like, oh my gosh, like kind of thing. I love that. And then it was a little challenging at times because I would find something at the very end. I was like, wait, this is tied back to this, but how can I make it clearer? Kind of thing. But it was definitely like a lot of editing. But I really enjoyed the challenge behind trying to make everything as intentional as possible to really take the storyline onto a next level.
Okay. So you didn't have any issues with generating movement, uh, it's sort of in a long form. You were able
Yeah.
to, sounds like you were able to generate a lot of movement, had to edit
Yeah.
some of it
Yeah.
out.
I really, it was the dancers that again, like I'm a collaborative person at heart, and I find it so much easier to choreograph when there's another person in the room, kind of like able to bounce off their ideas, or they do something, and I'm like, yes, let's go further. Like the whole yes and statement is really huge to me. Um, yeah, so generating movement was, I'm not going to say like easy, but like I was just so inspired working with my friends. So I was
Yeah.
just like, we were just pumping it out.
Great, great. So, do you feel that you found your choreographic voice? Um, if so, what do you feel it looks and sounds like? And if
Oh
not,
my,
what do you feel is missing still?
yeah. I mean, I think my choreographic voice will be forever evolving.
Okay.
Um, I definitely see a lot of growth in my choreography in the past few years. I think it's become softer, um, softer but more direct. I think, and that's just like purely like in how I choreograph and also like when I'm choreographing. I think, yeah, I think it will be ever evolving, depending on like who I'm choreographing for, what I'm choreographing for, what my mood is. Like, who knows? Wait, maybe I'm going to wake up one day being like, I don't want to be a choreographer for like a full year. I don't think that's going to happen, but yeah, it's just forever evolving.
Okay. So right now you don't see sort of a, it's early, but sort of a signature Nicole look where people are going, oh, that's looks like her stuff.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't really know how to like name it. I love soft moments, soft gestures and dances. Um, like I got this actually from one of my mentors and teachers, Lauren Adams. She always puts like hand games into her, or like simple hand gestures into her choreography, and I'm like, that is so beautiful. Like something as simple as like rock paper scissors, or like the hand jive, is, I think it just brings the like the dance back to play and to just like childhood curiosity. Um, yeah, I just think it kind of like humbles the piece a little bit because then everyone, so then someone can like see a little bit of themselves in the piece, even if it is just like a hand jive, but it's like, oh, hey, I know that movement. I know how to hand jive kind of thing. So
Okay.
I like putting familiarity in pieces as well as like floor work, putting people on their heads. That's really cool. So I like putting the extremes in dances.
Okay. See, do you think it was necessary for you to have been a dancer to be a choreographer, or does it just sort of help?
I think it helps. I think it helps for sure. Um, I know that there are people who don't dance and choreograph, and that is amazing. And that is truly amazing. Like maybe they compose music and they also choreograph dance, but they tell the dancer what they want, um, and but then the dancer has to kind of figure it out. Yeah, I don't. I'm comfortable with my journey of being a dancer and then being a choreographer because I get to take what I've learned because I feel like I've learned so much. I have so much more to learn, but I feel like I've it's like a summary of like what I've learned and what I've attached to so far as a dancer.
Okay. So, what do you hope audiences will get out of As I Am?
Mm. I hope they're able to relate to it or just find some sort of relationship um, with the piece because there are three different characters, if you will. So, and every character has its own arc and own relation to other characters, and I just hope that they, I don't know, see themselves in it.
Okay. Well, I know you will still dance and choreograph. What's next for Nicole's career here?
Next for me is just, I think for the next year, just having some freedom and seeing what else is out there. I'm really looking forward to making connections because even in these three short weeks in Montreal, I was able to see old friends, old dancers who I've grown up with who are now dancing in companies. And it's just really nice to reconnect with them and then also meet new people and making connections off of that. Um, and I realized after COVID, the dance world is so different. Like dancers are, I find genuinely much nice, not like much nicer, but like we're much more compassionate and people are just like wanting to support each other. It's not as competitive, it's not as a toxic environment. And maybe I'm just like speaking out of privilege for being in like this intensive at this time, but I it's it's just it's really inspiring and I'm really um where other places react as well.
Okay. So, will you stay in the Cleveland area or are you moving elsewhere?
I'm calling myself a world traveler slash freelancer for the next year. My two
Oh,
bases will be Cleveland and Arizona. Just because I have homes there, both places, thankfully, on separate coasts. Um, but yeah, the freedom to kind of do what I need to do in order to satisfy my inspiration craving.
okay. So we got a passport and you've been to
Oh,
Montreal and you'll be
I
going
got a
somewhere else?
passport. I'm going to Germany in August, and I'm super excited about that. It's my first time in Germany. Um, Experiencing different cultures. I like kind of shocking myself a little bit. I always travel alone, and sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. And but I think it's really exciting because then it's just like the more I learn, the more I grow. And like I feel like I've grown so much like within GroundWorks, uh, and have also seen GroundWorks grow. So me and the company independently have been growing alongside of each other, but um, I don't know. I think change is good. I think change is healthy.
Okay. Well, obviously, I wish you well in your adventures in Germany and all the rest of the places that you
Thank
end up
you.
going. So, as a part of the Groundworks family, which you will forever be, I am sure we'll see you again and perhaps you'll create another work on the company. Thank you, Nicole, for your time and for your talents. I invite everyone to come see Nicole and her work as I am as part of Groundworks Summer Performance Series. It'll be outdoors July 15th through 17th at Cain Park's spacious Evans Amphitheater. Uh, Thankfully, it won't be in the hot box. That's in Cleveland Heights. And you can see the program again for free August 5th and 6th at Akron's Firestone Park as part of the annual Heinz Summer Dance Festival. So bring lawn chairs and blankets and snacks. For all the information, go to groundworksdance.org/summer 2002 for videos, details, and of course to get tickets. And thank you once again, Nicole, for being a part of this artist talk.
Yeah, thank you, Steve, for hosting it.
Okay. And bye, everyone.